Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the Q3 FY21 earnings conference call of Welspun Corp Limited, hosted by Emkay Global Financial Services. We have with us today Mr. Vipul Mathur, Managing Director and CEO, Mr. Percy Birdy, Chief Financial Officer, and Mr. Akhil Jindal, Group CFO and Head Strategy, Welspun Group. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star, then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Karan Shah from Emkay Global. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to welcome the management and thank them for giving us this opportunity to host the earnings call. I would now hand over the call to the management for their opening remarks. Over to you, sir.
A very good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to our Q3 FY21 conference call. I wish to extend my sincere thanks for taking time out to attend this call. Let me run you through with the key highlights of our operational and financial performance during the quarter ended 31st December 2020. Our pipe sales volume was at 285,000 tons, up 14.3% on quarter-on-quarter basis. Our income from the operations was at 1,393 crore rupees, up 20.4% on a sequential quarter basis. Our reported EBITDA is at rupees 252 crore rupees, up 5.1% on sequential quarter basis. Our PAT is at 195 crore rupees, up 28.1% on quarter-on-quarter basis. Our cash profit is at 264 crore rupees, up 29% on quarter-on-quarter basis. Our EPS for the Q3 stands at rupees 7.5 per share, and on top of it, our current order book stands at 612,000 tons, and with an active valued at almost $770 million and an active bid book of almost close to 1.5 million. On the balance sheet side of it, we stay at a net cash company. Our net cash position is 314 crore rupees, and the free cash flow, what we have generated over the last 9 months in FY21, stands at 435 crore rupees. Let me also give you my broad outlook and update for the key drivers, what we see in each and every market. As all of you would recollect, that the H1 of this year, primarily full of Q1 and part of Q2, we lost in pandemic, lockdown, and where we have seen a complete demand destructions and value erosions happening there. However, in the last, or let's say from the mid of the second quarter, we started seeing an uptick in the economic activity, and it seems to be gradually taking pace now. As the environment is now stabilizing by virtue of rollout of vaccines and the fiscal stimulus programs, we feel that there could be a stronger than expected recovery, which will result in an improved scenario for oil productions and demand. If we talk about EIA forecast, the Brent pricing is average around $53 a barrel, both in 21 and 22, compared to an average of $42 a barrel in 2020, which angers well for us. If we specifically talk about India, I'm sure you would have noticed that the central government has asked the oil PSUs to make a quantum jump in their capital expenditure in the current financial year so as to stimulate the economic activity. The ministry and the PMO has directed 13 petroleum sector PSUs to double their capex to 2 lakh crore rupees in FY21 from the initial target of 1 lakh crore rupees, and have also endeavoring to scale it up further to 3 lakh crore rupees in FY22. The intent is to mitigate the blow to the economy from a sharp drop in private and state government investments due to this pandemic. As a result of this, we have seen increased tendering activities, which has led us to win several orders, and we expect this trend to continue. The push for city gas expansion continues to be strong. This is a part of the government plan for raising the share of natural gas in the country's energy basket to 15% by 2030 from the current 6.3%. The 11th city gas distribution authorization round is being planned and is expected to be launched soon. Some 50 to 100 districts will join the city gas network, adding the existing coverage of more than 400 districts. The demand in the domestic water segment across states have been muted as resources have been diverted in the fight against pandemic. A significant increase in steel price has created an additional disruption as project costs have considerably escalated. However, water remains a key focus area and the momentum should pick up soon. There are more than 31 river interlinking projects planned in this country, of which we believe Ken-Betwa is the first that has reached an advanced level of planning. There is also a strong resolve to provide drinking water to all households by 2024 under the ambitious Jal Jeevan Mission program. These projects would require huge investments in creating the necessary infrastructure, both in line pipes as well as for ductile iron pipes. Our prospects in the export market have significantly improved in a better global environment. Southeast Asia and especially Australasia stands out as the most attractive market where, as you know, we have bagged some highly prestigious order in the last quarter, and we are seeing a potential to win a few more. There is also an increased traction from Middle East, East Africa and Latin America, where we are in close discussion with various customers and are in contention to bag some new orders. A flare-up in the steel pricing is a key risk to all these projects as they significantly increase the project cost. However, over the last 2 weeks, we have seen a minor correction also started happening on the steel pricing side, and we hope that this correction will continue further. Coming to USA, the overall environment for oil and gas has improved with a pickup in oil prices and better than expected production and demand. However, many companies in the midstream sector where we play are extremely cautious with spending on growth projects. In the next few months, we expect the prevailing uncertainty to settle down as the new administration settles down and roll out their energy policy. Based on the current order book, what we have a visibility of production till the end of Q1 of FY22, and thereafter we would be in the market securing certain businesses. Looking at the oil pricing, which is fairly steady, looking at the oil demand, which is also almost to a pre-pandemic level, we feel very optimistic that it would be only a matter of time before the demand in the US market could also pick up. We remain completely focused on the same for each and every business opportunity which is going to arise, and we have seen such things in the past, and the turnaround in that market, as we all know, is also extremely fast. It's only a matter of time, we believe, that things should settle down there. Coming to Saudi Arabia, we have an unexecuted order book of more than 160,000 tons. comprising of orders both from oil and gas sector as well as water segment. With this order book, the Saudi facility has a clear business visibility till the end of Q2 FY22. We are also in a favorable position on few large orders in the water segment, as you would recollect, on which we have participated in, and the awards for those projects were due. With now the new budgets in place, we are expecting some positive movements around these projects. Further, a pickup in oil prices is also lending Saudi Aramco the necessary space to start their capex program, and we are seeing quite a few inquiries seems to be coming out from them at this point of time. I would also like to inform you that we had gone ahead for the local listing of our Saudi JV in the Saudi Stock Exchange. At this point of time, as we speak, we have given our application is under process, and we expect to get the clearance by end of this quarter. The process of listing would mean divestment of 30% of the stake by both the shareholders put together, which means it will be split proportionately between the JV partners. WCL currently holds 50.01% in the JV through our overseas subsidiary. This divestment would further improve liquidity at WCL. The process is absolutely on track, and we are endeavoring to have the listing sometimes during the H1 of FY22. I also wish to give you an update on our ductile iron plant. As we have previously communicated to you, we see the ductile iron plant as a very attractive industry prospect and synergetic to our existing business. Accordingly, we had gone ahead for setting up this greenfield facility at Anjar. The project, as we speak, is moving at a very fast pace, and as informed earlier, we are all set to commission it by the first quarter of FY 2022. I would also like to give you an update on the divestment of one of our assets, which is the plate and coil mill division. As you would recall, that we have a binding BTA agreement between the parties, and the date for that and the BTA validity is up to March 31st of 2021. You are also aware that we have received advance amount as per our understanding for the aforesaid transaction. And considering the strong fundamentals, the high demand growth, the margins uplift in the steel sector, we are very optimistic that this deal will get consummated in the financial year.
CCI approval also.
And the CCI approval, you are right, Akhil. Lastly, on our Bhopal project, I am very glad to inform that the Bhopal project, including expansion, stands successfully completed. The total capacity at our Bhopal project is now close to 300,000 tons. We are looking at this facility both in terms of catering oil and gas demands and the water infrastructure demand in the central and east India. This facility was formally inaugurated by the Honorable Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, Mr. Shri Shivraj Singh Ji Chauhan, on the 20th December 2020. We are also pleased to inform that we recently got this facility audited through API, and we have been successfully recommended for the same, which gives us the platform to execute API projects from this facility as well. With this, we conclude our opening remark. We will be happy to take any questions. Please open the floor for the questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may please press star, then 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star, then 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Anyone who wishes to ask questions, please press star, then 1. The first question is from the line of Nirav Shah from GC Holdings. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Congratulations for a decent set of numbers and thanks for the opportunity. Sir, I have 3 questions. Firstly is on the Saudi operations. So for few quarters we have been preferred placed on a couple of orders from the water segment. But now considering that steel prices the way they have risen in the last 3 months, you see these contracts for L1 being renegotiated or they'll be rebidded? How will that happen? Because, I mean, you would have put in a bid, say, 3 quarters back or 4 quarters back, where the scenario was completely different. So now how would that adjustment happen for those orders where we are preferably placed?
So, technically speaking, we have been pushing them for soliciting revised pricing from us in line to capture the steel price hikes which has happened. And recently, we got a small order from them in which they have gone ahead and given us the flexibility to adjust the pricing. I am not sure that for all the large projects they will agree to that, but they are completely mindful of this particular fact, and they have shown flexibility in terms of acknowledging and accepting that there is a steel price increase. They have adjusted us and accommodated us in one of the projects recently which got awarded. I am very confident that as we move forward towards finalization for these particular projects, a fair opportunity will emerge on the table, either for us to calibrate the steel price, or if by that time the steel price would have in any case stands calibrated, then we would like to go forward accordingly. So it would be a sort of a continuous engagement. But I can tell you that we are seeing a very flexible approach coming up from there.
Okay, so the chances of the rebid are very less.
You may consider that, yeah.
Okay, sir. Second question is on the US operations. Now, I believe while for us also we have not seen any inflows and we are executing and we'll be technically done with in a few months. The same should be the case for the industry. So in the first phase of awarding, you see the competition intensity over there. How do you see that? Will the margins be slightly different in the initial round of orders, and then once the book fills for everyone, we can expect some sanity to return to the margins?
See, it all depends who are the players who are going to come back into the field, into the play. Assuming that, there are 2 scenarios. Let's say, you have a project which is of a very small quantum, right? And where, there we can definitely see a little more aggressive competition. But if it is a large project which is coming up, then they would like to go ahead with very established leading players into the field, and it is in which category Welspun stands up, number 1. Number 2, we also have to be mindful of the fact that post this shutdown, not too many competitors would also have the ability to come back in the game. That is the impression we are getting. So the competition is not going to be as, in terms of numbers, we are not seeing too many competitors likely to come back into the play when the revised bidding activities start. So we have to be mindful. We are extremely watchful. We are seeing each and every project. We also must understand that we have historical relationships and tie-ups with all our customers. We are a preferred supplier to them. So all those factors will continue to play a major role before any large project is going to get finalized.
Got it. And 2 questions on India operations. Firstly, on the DI pipes, we have given the scheduled commissioning of April 22. Now, how will the capex split be between FY21, FY22 and 23? I mean, in terms of the breakup of that 1250 crores.
So largely it will be, a large portion of the capex would happen in 22, let's say if we have to split, we would say around 40% of the capex would happen, or 45% of the capex would have happened by FY21, and the balance would get spilled over into FY 2022.
Okay, so at least 500 crores will be spent this year itself.
Close to, yes.
And maybe say 10% in FY23, where we'll be paying, post completion all the cash outgo.
I'm sorry, come again?
So the balance, 10% will be in FY23, and another 45% will be then in FY22 also.
That's correct.
And so we read some positive announcement on the conclusion of sale of Jorbaj Shillong. Edelweiss was in the news of buying that. Plus, what we are reading in is for the DHFL and Reliance Home Finance. So what's the update on the bond portfolio? Have we heard anything where there's a possibility of a write back of whatever amount that we've written off in the past?
No, we are also hearing the same news as what you are hearing. We are very optimistic about Jorbaj Shillong. DHFL, ILFS are work in progress, and we will continue to watch them. But our optimism around Jorbaj Shillong is extremely high, as it is yours.
Great, sir. Great. I have a few questions. I'll come back in the queue, sir. Thank you, sir, and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Participants, to ask a question, please press star, then 1. The next question is from the line of Pratiksha Daftari from Equitas Investment Consultancy. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity, sir. Sir, I just wanted to know a little bit about the acquisition that we have, mentioned, the Welspun Metallics one and the other company. And what is the rationale for such an acquisition, and what is it that, what kind of approvals or assets are that we are acquiring in this company since they're newly incorporated?
So as you know that we have announced our intention of going and venturing into the DI pipe segment. We see that segment as a high growth segment, and we see also synergetic to our business operations. It is in that backdrop we had forayed into that particular segment. This acquisition is we have procedural approvals in place for in a different company, and it is by the time they have all got transferred. That is a logical, and strategic acquisition which we are now bringing it on the table. So that it will now come as all subsidiaries of the Welspun Corp. Direct subsidiary of under Welspun Corp.
So basically the approvals, we are paying about 99 crores for both of these companies put together. So this consideration is towards the approvals.
No. This consideration is towards the expenses which this company has done in the intervening period. We started this project around 3 months back. So within 3 months, this is the type of expenditure this company has done. So the acquisition is being done absolutely at a book value with them.
So these, sir, had we, if you had to take these same approvals in the company, the same amount of money that we would have to spend for approvals?
It is not only the money for approvals. It is also towards the cost of land acquisitions, the mobilization advances, and some equipment which have long lead items which have also been ordered. So it is a cumulative sum total of all these things. It is just not only for the approvals, please.
Okay, so what kind, how much land are we getting? If you could just tell us a little more about that.
So we are setting up this project. From a details perspective, it is like this. We are setting up this project with a capacity of 400,000 tons of manufacturing DI pipes. As you know, for setting up a DI pipe plant, you have to have on a back end side of it a steel plant, a mini steel plant, and accordingly we are putting up a blast furnace, a sinter plant, a coke plant, and along with that a DI plant. So the total capacity for DI plant, which is the end product which we are going to sell, is going to be 400,000 tons per annum capacity which we are putting. Number one, it will be a complete size range, full size range as what is being prevalent into the market. And this area, and from a land perspective, this is probably we would be utilizing close to 150 acres of our land to set up these projects.
No, I mean the land that is there in the companies that we are buying.
So part of the land, of this 150 acres land, what we intend to set up our project, Part of it we are buying from outside, part of it is already available into Welspun Corp, and part of it is available with the group company. Just to see that, everything is absolutely fair and under legal entities. We are rationalized we are buying from the private people also, the portion of the land which is not there with us. And also, we are also rationalizing the land within it so that they are all sitting under one legal entity, please.
Okay. And sir, this 100 crores that we will spend will be over and above the capex that we have envisaged for DI, right?
It is inclusive of that, please.
Okay, so 1250 crores would be inclusive of this.
At this point of time, yes.
Okay. Okay. My next question, sir, was regarding impact. You just mentioned about the impact of steel on Saudi. So overall operations front, sir, we have back-to-back arrangements immediately when we get a new order, right? So
Correct.
for the current order book, is it safe to assume that we have our steel booked at the prices when the orders were received?
We are completely covered for all the orders what we have in our hand.
Okay. So then, sir, the steel price rise would impact only for bid book, or would we see, I think Saudi was the only place where we had open position. Apart from that, everywhere we stand booked, and Saudi is something where we still will have open exposure, right? The order book of 160,000 crores.
We will not have
160,000 tons.
No. On this 160,000 tons,
Right.
which is a confirmed order book at this point of time,
Right.
we are completely insulated from the steel price. We are, we have a back-to-back arrangement. The question on this call, earlier on the call, was that in certain projects where we are lowest bidder and the contracts have not been awarded, what is the potential risk to that? That was the question, and that is where I have answered earlier. But
Okay.
Answering your question, that on this 160,000 tons, the confirmed order book what we have, we are fully insulated.
Okay. And do we expect any, deferment of projects which are not yet, which are up for bidding, or overall any, lowering of demand because of the steel prices going up in any of our geography?
We are seeing the steel price increase, sudden price increase in the steel is definitely impacting our water business in India. There's no doubt about it, right? Because the prices have gone up so high and the contracts which have been awarded, they cannot afford to have these pricing. So we are seeing a little bit of a slowdown on the water side of it. Could be a matter of time when the corrections would happen. They would also get a price increase and there would be certain corrections which will happen. So both these activities put together, we will see the demand coming back. But other than that, the steel price increase is not as such per se we are seeing any, demand destruction. Now let me tell you that, let's say from an oil and gas perspective, I think so the Indian PSU business continues to be strong. We are seeing a huge traction as we have seen in the first 2 quarters and even in the last year. We are seeing a continued traction coming up from the PSU business on that. So which means that the steel demand is not impacting that traction. In Saudi, as I said, we are completely secured. And in US, unfortunately, we do not have any business visibility beyond Q1 on which I have to take an exposure. So to that extent, we are completely covered in US as well.
Okay. And sir, our gross debt has increased by about 325 crores this quarter. So any particular rationale as to why we didn't deploy our existing funds and choose to increase our gross debt, and where exactly was this deployed?
So the gross debt has increased, which is mainly in the US. So as you know, in US, we have got one order which is there in the pipeline, and the steel had to be procured for that. So we have taken a short-term loan to procure the steel for that. So that's the main reason. Apart from that, in India, we have just taken some commercial papers. So as of September end, it was 60 crores. December end, it's 120 crores. And commercial papers are at very attractive rates of close to 4%. So generally, while the gross debt you will see has gone up, but the increase is in the dollar debt in US, and as a result, the average borrowing cost has come down substantially.
Okay. And one last question, sir. The EBITDA per ton for Saudi was substantially high on sequential basis. So any particular reason, and how sustainable is this EBITDA per ton?
So you have seen that, EBITDA per ton is a factor of the product mix. Fortunately, in this quarter, the product mix was very favorable. We were executing in the full quarter the order which was very, very profitable, right? So that is the reason you are seeing that very high contribution or high EBITDA margins in this particular quarter.
So, sir, would this be sustainable for the balance 160,000 ton order book, or the mix changes?
See, we have always told as a guidance that in Saudi, let's say the guidance is always around $100 a ton EBITDA, and then we, depending on what product mix we get, what is the price advantage you are able to capture, these keeps on changing, right? But from a guidance perspective, we stand consistent in our approach that it will be more than $100 a ton per metric ton EBITDA, which we are always going to maintain. And that stands true for 160,000 tons. It could, depending on what, how we are going to execute it, at what price that steel has come in, those factors will positively influence that EBITDA in the subsequent quarter.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I'll join in back in the queue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Dhananjay Mishra from Sunidhi Securities. Please go ahead.
Hello. Sir, what is the volume number for the US operation as well as sales number for 3 months and 9 months?
Sorry,
volume number.
What
this
is
quarter volume? This quarter sales volume and sales figure for US operation.
So for this December quarter, we had consolidated sales volumes of 285,000 tons, out of which India is about 183, Saudi is 97, and USA is 4.
USA is
4,000 tons.
USA is 4,000.
In USA, this time there was, it was only a quarter in which we have been producing. The sales did not happen. The sales will happen in the subsequent quarter.
So first 9 months, nothing has happened. Nothing significant has happened in US operation, right?
We are talking of this quarter, not another 9 months.
Okay. And what about 9 months for US?
9 months for US has been at 58,000 tons.
58,000. Okay. So next quarter probably we will do about another 30,000-40,000 from US, right?
Should be more than that.
Okay. And sir, what kind of valuation we are looking for our Saudi JV? We are like this thing is going to on card. So
right now we are in the process of doing all the administrative formalities, completing those formalities. We have merchant bankers who are there. It will all depend at what time we hit the market, what is our order book, how is the Saudi market at that point of time looking like. I think so it's fairly speculative at this point of time to answer that. But all what I can tell you is the market has a lot of appetite. The market is fairly buoyant, and we intend to ride that wave.
Okay. So we will monetize our 15% share, like our shares will come down to 35%, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, so that's from my side.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Harshit Khandelwal from a retail investor. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, sir. My question is, what is our further capital allocation plans? Like how we are going to utilize net cash position?
Capital allocation plan. So we have already announced certain projects like the DI Greenfield, which is already there in the public domain. Apart from that, we would be having certain maintenance capex, which typically is there in India and in US in our existing plants as well. Apart from this, we keep looking at any M&A opportunities. So we have a dedicated team which is continuously looking at all these type of acquisition opportunities as well. And as and when we get some attractive opportunities, attractive assets, we will utilize the funds that are available with us.
Okay, and sir, my next question is, what is the R&D expenses, like R&D to earnings ratio, if you can provide me?
We may not have crystallized it to the last dollar value. I think so we can work out that information and share it with you separately.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. That's all from my side.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rishikesh Oja from Robo Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Very good evening. So can you please provide a revenue and PAT guidance for FY22 and FY23?
See, it's impossible to give a guidance. See, there are so much of variable factors which are playing into the market at this point of time, and none of us is not that everyone is not aware of it. Even you are aware of it. That what are the various factors which are playing at this point of time? How is the pandemic going to pan out? How quickly the U.S. economy is going to revive? What will be the situation of the states funding? All those factors are going to play a major role in terms of deciding that what are the volumes and the earnings are going to be there FY22 and 23. However, having said that, I think that there is quite a bit of an optimism. We stay very positive because we are seeing a very strong revival which is happening around, right? Both in the, as I told you that we are seeing strong signs of revival in the oil and gas sector in India, but at the same time, the water is taking its own time, right? We are seeing the demand coming back in Saudi, but at the same time, we are seeing that in US, things have to stabilize a bit, and we are watching it very carefully. So in this element of uncertainty, it will be wrong on our part to give you any guidance or any numbers which we are not able to sustain. So I think so as we go in subsequent quarters, as and when more clarity emerges, as the market starts stabilizing, I think so we can revisit and address these issues.
No problem, sir. Next question would be, what is the revenue potential for your DI pipe, sir?
If our DI pipe business at its peak capacity would be producing close to 400,000 tons of pipe, right? The revenue, the top line potential could be as high as 3,000 crore rupees to that on a standalone basis.
Okay, sir. That will do. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vikas Singh from Phillip Capital. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Vikas.
Sir, I just want to understand one thing. If I just subtract the consolidated from standalone, I see that the US EBITDA per ton comes more than 40,000 rupees. So, is there any one-off or what I'm missing here?
So Vikas, in US, as we have disclosed in our results, we had one fire insurance claim of about 27 crores. This is appearing as a note in our published results. So $3.5 million, that's roughly 27 crores, has come as an income for us.
Okay, so on a net, the continued business would have done some EBITDA losses this quarter also.
Yes, I mean, as you can see, US volumes were only 4,000 tons. So obviously on a 4,000 ton volume, you really can't expect to make profit.
Understand. And sir, coming back to our debt situation, see, our total order book size has been on the lower side because we have executed some order this quarter also. So even if I assume that 50,000 tons of some orders which you would have booked in US, still it doesn't, overall matches the kind of the net debt increase of 340 crores is there. So anything else which is there in the line item which we are missing?
So in US, at the end of December, we have two projects in hand on the spiral side. One of the projects we have finished the production, finished goods is sitting in the inventory, and it will get accounted as sales in Q4, that is in March quarter. For the second project, we have the raw material, the inventory is already brought in, and that's the reason why there is short-term debt that you see in US. But both these orders are committed orders, and we don't have any concerns on that. So the sales will get executed in Q4, Q1. It will get executed, and the inventory will get converted finally into cash. And of course, the debt will be repaid.
Okay, sir. And sir, regarding this Welspun Metallics Limited and DI Pipe Limited, so this 95 odd crores, it would go to the promoter, some promoters, or it was previously also a part of the overall Welspun Corp only?
Vikas, sorry, I didn't get your question. Please come back.
So sir, this Welspun Metallics Limited, that 95 crore which we are shelling out, so it would go to some other, our group, another company or the promoter? So this consideration is going to whom, basically, just wanted to.
So because first and foremost, you have to understand this consideration is nothing else but a reimbursement of the expenses. Number one. Number two, because for the bridge period when we were trying to regularize everything under Welspun Corp, including transfer of all the approvals and accreditations, that is for that period, the promoter entity had bridged up these expenses, and we are only reimbursing that.
And it's a book value.
And it is purely at the book value.
Book value transaction. So it is backed by hard assets which are recently created. So recently in the last 3 months, land and whatever plant and machinery advances. So there is nothing which is like some speculative, subjective valuation element coming here. This is hard assets created in the last 3 months. And no profit to promoters. Absolutely.
Okay, so basically I thought that the land was already available to us in our existing plant. So I thought that we were using that land for this project. Like last time you have indicated as in the con call.
So some land is there within the group. Some of that land we are even leasing it out to this Welspun Metallic and Welspun DI. But some land has been purchased from third parties as well. And third party purchase obviously requires cash. So it's absolutely an independent transaction.
Understood, sir. Understood. That answers my question, sir. Thank you, and all the best for future.
Thank you, Vikas.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sriniket Narayana from B&K Securities. Please go ahead. Mr. Narayana, your line is unmuted. Please go ahead. Sriniket Narayana from B&K Securities. Please unmute the line from your side and go ahead. As there's no response, we take the next question from the line of Rajesh Agarwal from Moneyore Investments. Please go ahead.
Yeah, my question is on US. Are you hopeful for orders from US because the activity in permanent basin has reduced considerably, and second, the new administration is agnostic to fuel, oil and gas, or this one. And the second question is, are we bidding for Ramani Ganges project in India? And third question is, how is the CCD pipes order? The 3 questions.
Okay. With respect to US, I think so. See, at the irrespective of whichever administration that be, US is a net oil exporter. They have earned these positions after considerable effort. Irrespective of whichever administration it might be, it is our assessment, it is our feeling that they would not like to leave this pole position which they have earned over few years, a hard work over few years. So that's one. Two, the decision would have become little questionable provided the oil prices would not have been firm and the demand would not have come back. But you see that the oil prices have also firmed up significantly. They are almost at the pre-COVID level, and the demand is also almost at the pre-COVID level.
But this is because of reduced supply from Saudi and other countries.
No, there is enough supply. If you see, earlier it was all, OPEC maneuvered oil supply. Today it is no more OPEC maneuvered oil supply. I think so. US has a dominant and a pivotal role to decide the oil supplies today, right? So, and that position is very, very hard-earned position for them. So I am very, we feel that they will not relinquish that position so very easily, irrespective of the political alignments, number one. Number two, Permian Basin is a very cheap, low-cost basin available to them, and that is one of the key drivers for the economic resurgence.
Okay.
So it is just a matter of time. They would have to reset and recalibrate their priorities and align them, and they will come out with their new policies. So I'm sure this period of uncertainty is rather shorter than longer.
Is it for future capex or the last mile? The order pending?
Both of them.
You feel like that $52 NYMEX crude, still it is sustainable for them to make money?
Oh yes, 100%. 100%. Anything which is more than $35, they make money.
Okay.
Yeah. Coming back to your third question, I would come back to the second one. The CGD demand, that was on CGD, right?
Yeah.
The CGD rounds are going exceptionally well. The 10th round biddings are all over. We are now into the 11th round. And with every round, almost 100 odd cities are getting added up into the kitty. Today, as we are talking, almost 400 cities are being talked about for complete city gas distribution network. And today the work is happening only on the 5th or the 6th round of the city.
Right.
So there's a huge upside which is available. So we see a lot of traction in the city gas business, even in substantial time in future to come as well. Coming to what was the third? Which project were you mentioning to?
I'm seeing a lot of other water suppliers are getting a lot of orders, including contractors from Namani Ganges project in India.
So Namani, what they are?
Namani Ganges.
Right. So those we are.
These are all DA pipes orders.
Yeah. We are not into that particular space at this point of time. Because we are on the mild steel large diameter, and that is also one of our reasons for venturing into the DI pipes, where Namami Ganga is going to be a huge project, Nal Se Jal is going to be huge.
Right. But by the time we come, so it will be late. You don't feel it will be late because a lot of the orders are getting huge now. A lot of companies, Indian companies, have bought huge orders.
The future, if we go by all the assessments and the reports which are suggested, and basis which we are making this investment. This business is going to grow at a rate of at least 6 to 7% of CAGR growth over next 7 to 10 years time. That is what the rationale for us to get into that business is.
And so the CCD orders have got margins, no? What margins?
CCD orders. On the CGD orders?
Yes.
So they are fairly reasonable margins. Fairly reasonable margins. Yeah.
Better than the water segment? No.
Oh, yes, much better than the water segment. Much better than the water. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
It's a very organized and very developed market, and we are very satisfied with the margins what we are getting there.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Participants who would like to ask questions, please press star, then 1. Anyone who wishes to ask questions, please press star, then 1. The next question is from the line of Sagar Parekh from One Up Financial. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sir. Thank you for taking my question. Just one question on this Keystone project. Recently, there was this news article where the Biden administration, they cancelled that project. So just wanted to check on the... So I believe we have already done the construction and the inventory is lying with us. Just wanted to double check that. Any kind of impact on us?
So Keystone Pipeline, from a Welspun perspective, we have completed the production. All the pipes are sitting on the ground. Our contractual obligations completely protects our interest to 100% of our receivables. So we are absolutely on a firm footing. There is nothing called surprise. And on top of it, we were supposed to get, that money is supposed to come up in tranches as per the contractual terms. The first tranche of money has already hit our account. So we are not seeing any challenge whatsoever, on the KXL project concerning WCL.
So we have executed the project, but the inventory was lying with us, right?
We have produced the pipe. The pipes, as per the agreement, are stored at our facility, as per our agreement, and on top, and there is a separate commercial agreement for storage and handling as well, over and above our pipe manufacturing contractual obligations.
Okay, and how much is the receivables pending from that project? As you said, it's 100% financial guarantee, but just wanted to check on the total receivables pending from that project.
It would be close to like 60 odd million at this point of time.
60 million.
Okay. Yeah, 60 million would be an outstanding, which should come over the next 3 months' time in a progressive manner.
Okay, fair enough. And lastly, any future impact you think from the new administration? You mentioned obviously that about the U.S. shale industry in detail, but just wanted to check. If the policy is more focused on the cleaner energy, such as renewables, there could be some implications for the oil and gas sector, right? So just wanted to check your thoughts on the same in US.
See, it's too early for us to comment on the policies of the new administration. I can only reflect that, and I was privy to two of the debates which has happened during this presidential campaign. And in both the debates, the president-elect and now the president has categorically mentioned to continue to the policy of, reviving, keeping the momentum up in the oil and gas industry. He was specifically being asked questions around that debate, and his position was very, very unequivocal, very clear that I would like this momentum to be maintained. And we are all expecting to get that translated into a policy, which I am sure should get rolled out as sooner rather than later.
Okay, so this Keystone project was just one incident where the environmental issues cropped up, but other than that, you don't envisage any such problems as such for the newer projects?
See, Keystone is, we have to see Keystone in a very different perspective. Okay. Keystone is a crude coming from Canada into US for the Gulf Coast refineries.
Right.
The crude which is coming up from Canada is out of the oil sands, and which they feel it's a dirty fuel. It's a, so that is where their concerns are, that it is a oil sands fuel, so it is a little bit of a dirty fuel, and they do not want that coming from Canada into their domestic market. That is where, they stand. But when it comes to the projects, or when it comes to, drilling and extracting and transporting their own fuel which they are producing in their own country, I don't see that there should be any reservations or any issues around that.
Okay, fair enough. And out of the total 1.5 million bid book that you mentioned in the beginning of the call, can you give us a broad split up between how much is it from India, US and Saudi and other countries?
Almost 1/3 of that happens to be from Saudi. The other 1/3 happens to be out of India. And the balance is split between, the rest of the world. Let me put it this way.
Okay, so US is very small right now.
We are, see what happens traditionally, if you look at the US market, it goes, when this pandemic has hit, right, at that point of time, there were some 6 or 7 projects which were ongoing. Out of that, 2 or 3 projects got shelved, and 1 or 2 projects got cancelled. We already had the projects; they got cancelled.
Right.
The moment that clarity would start coming in, that what is the direction of this new administration, all those players are going to come back very quickly onto the particular field. So right now, we may not be seeing their, because they have not yet come back, so their numbers are not getting reflected here. But we have to step back and analyze that, when we just around the pandemic time, there were some 6 or 7 projects which were up for running, and 3 of them were awarded already. So, those projects are, the moment that clarity emerges, I think so, things are going to come back on track. We stay very, very optimistic. I don't want to sound exuberant, but I'm equally careful, but I'm very, very positive about resurgence in the US market. We have seen that in the past, in the previous administrations also. I hope it will also be the same this time as well.
And US, we used to do about $300 EBITDA per ton at our peak, and now when do you think we can come back to those levels? Let's say that you assume that the 6-7 projects that you're talking about, they come back. So you think we should be having such kind of margins in those orders again? Or you think it's still some time away?
It's possible. It is definitely possible. It's possible. If those projects comes back and, the competitive landscape has shrunk and is likely to shrink further, it's all a matter of demand and supply gap. And I hope that these projects do come back quickly on the table, and it gives us a vantage point in terms of exploiting the commercial mileage out of that.
Okay, fair enough. That's it from my side, and all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pratiksha Daftari from Equitas Investment Consultancy. Please go ahead.
Just 2 data points, sir. What is the amount that we've already received for the PCMD transaction?
We have an agreement, which was the business transfer agreement. As per the business transfer agreement, we were supposed to get some 50 odd crore rupees.
So we've received 50 odd
and we have already received that. But that was a long time back, so it is already there with us.
50 crores?
Yes.
And how much is then balance yet to be received, sir?
800 plus crores.
Okay. And so the order book breakup, if you could give between the three. So 160 is Saudi, and between US and India, the breakup would be?
The US would be close to 130,000 tons of the pending order book, which will get converted into sales, and almost 300,000 tons would be from India.
Okay. And this would be executed between Bhopal and Bhuj, Anjar.
Dahej, Mandya. So we have four manufacturing locations in India, and it will get executed out of these four locations.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question. I now hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
Thank you very much for taking time out for this particular call. I hope we have answered all of your questions. If you still feel that there is some clarity which is required or some additional information which you may need, you can definitely, please feel free to reach out to our investor relations or to Gaurav for this particular matter, and we would be very pleased to answer all. If anything else which you want us to address, please. But once again, my sincere thanks for taking time out and attending this call. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Emkay Global Financial Services, that concludes this conference. We thank you all for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.